Hi. So, multiple sclerosis. The first time I heard those words, I was a very young child, and I heard that someone in my distant family had just been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I didn't know what that was. Nobody seemed to, only that it disabled you and you ended up in a wheelchair and that kind of thing. So over the subsequent years, I kept my ears open, thinking about this cousin in the background, and I ascertained that there seemed to be no cure or good treatment for it, except one which was illegal, which was cannabis. So that wasn't a possibility at all. And then we never saw this cousin. I never met this cousin. I don't even know what part of the family exactly she was in, but it was all just kept very quiet, and it's best to leave her alone, leave her to herself. So that's what happened, I guess. Then time went on, and it's hard to describe what would be considered first symptoms, because I think that there were more than I know and that I remember, just things that I considered normal that weren't. But my first recognizable one, looking back, was when I was 15 or 16 years old at school, and I developed what now recognized as optic neuritis, but it went unrecognized by anyone at the time. It was to the point that I managed to get a permission slip from school to be allowed to wear sunglasses in class. Sunglasses all the time. I was allowed to wear them because light affecting my eyes was very much bothering me. So I was permitted to do that. Caused a bit of chaos, never mind. So that all passed. And very soon thereafter, I would suffer appendicitis and had to have it removed, emergency, taken to hospital by ambulance, went undiagnosed, it went missed by examination. So they say appendix, they've got lots of connections, but what went wrong first, if there's any connection? Anyway, moving on. My optic neuritis cleared up, but it did show me that wearing sunglasses was a relief, and I felt better when I was taking in less light. So it's a habit I continue, not right this moment as you can see, but and then we went for quite a few years with absolutely nothing happening at all. Life was going good, the roller coaster. And then when I was 33, I experienced loss of sensation in my hands, and that was very strange. And very soon, pretty much immediately, within 48 hours after that happening, I had a optic neuritis again. And it was different this time though. The ON, it was not the same as I had in school, but it was definitely the same thing. So I went and sought medical advice and ended up in the emergency room I was directed to, and they decided to keep me overnight for observation. So I met a neurologist in the morning. I slept on a gurney in the corridor area. It was fine. I'm a young man. It didn't bother me. I met the neurologist in the morning. Did the usual tests, and we had a chat and things, and said we were going to do some scans. So we did scans. We did that visual, I can't remember the name, it's when where you're looking at a TV screen right in front of you, and it's like a checkerboard, and it's pink and green, maybe squares or something like that, and they're moving. You've got to keep track of one point on the screen, you've got to stay focused on it, something like that. They did lots of tests, MRI, lumbar puncture, spinal tap, and finally, during all of this, my wife was pregnant. We're having our first child, and my wife had her first child. I was with her, half unconscious with her, but I was there. I was suffering very badly, symptoms which were unexplainable to me. I thought that from my own investigations, I had narrowed it down that it was going to be either a tumor, brain tumor, or multiple sclerosis. So the results came back from the scans just after my baby was born, and the neurologist called us in to see him in his office. We brought the baby, a couple of weeks old at that stage. He's 18 now, and it was his 18th birthday. It's 18 years he's alive, 18 years I had MS. Very close in time. We got married the same year too. And Alfie died as well, the dog. You don't know Alfie. Alfie was great. So he told me, we're going to start you on, well, the way he said it was, you have highly active, highly aggressive multiple sclerosis, I'm sorry to say, and we're going to put you on the best medication that there is. It's going to start Monday for you. And my immediate response was like this. I was sitting looking at him like this, listening. My immediate response was, yes! Just like that, because I didn't want to have a tumor. And I said to him, will it kill me? And he said, no, very unlikely. And I said, okay, bring it on. So my wife was sitting beside me with the baby, gently sobbing as she was taking it all in. She's a very strong lady, a very, very strong lady, a great woman. And that was that. We went home, and Monday I started on Tysabri, which I remained on for about a year. My symptoms at this stage were still very minor. They were unbalance, unsteadiness in my gait, inconsistency in movement patterns. I was very strange moving, although I didn't know it myself. And then over the course of that first year on Tysabri, I just got worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. To the degree that I was using a mobility scooter, first a wheelchair, but then I did not have the upper body control to be able to propel a manual wheelchair along. So I got an electric scooter instead, and that was much better. But then it's so big and awkward. I was so restricted in places I could go. I really didn't go anywhere. Accessibility. Some places are better than others. So I said, I'm not taking this drug anymore. It's not working for me. It's not doing anything at all. I gave it 6 months. I was expecting some return and response, but there was none for me. I said, well, this is the best for you. It's such a serious case of MS that you have. I was the worst. On my first MRI, I had more than 40 lesions on my brain. None on my spine, or maybe 1 or 2 on my spine, but insignificant compared to the brain, where there is a massive lesion load, comparable to a shotgun blast, pellets spread out across the whole lot of it. No focal point particularly over another. And that was the cause of my disability, which somehow I had been holding back and overcoming, but it overcame me. So I was living in the city at the time. I'd been working, everything going great, until MS arrived in my life, which upended and uprooted and just caused chaos upon everything in my life, everything. So I moved out of Dublin with my wife and baby to the countryside, to a place far from people where I could regroup. And we lived there for a year, much of it me being incapacitated, unable to move, in a chair like this or in bed. I spent a lot of that time in bed. It was heavy fatigue. When I get fatigue, I'm not sleepy normally. My body is, to move my lips sometimes can be just too exhausting. So I was able to use my fingertips and the internet though, and I went doing deep research on what the hell might be able to help me, and I found all sorts of things. I know everybody's on different things, uses different methods, and some of them is working, some of them aren't, some of them are working, some of them aren't working. We're all very different on our stories and our paths and what we do and what we don't do and what the outcomes are and what the outcomes could be or will be or might be. So I came across a drug which was called, at the time, Campat, which later and now we know as Lemtrada, and it was still in clinical trials at the time, but I read everything I could about it, and I determined that this was going to work for me, but because it was still in trials, it wasn't possible to get the drug. So I had to stand up very strongly. I never knew how strong I was until it comes to things like this in your life. And I had all of the nurses and the doctors and all the rest saying to me, basically, the message was, Mike, you're not a doctor, you don't know what you're talking about, give it up, leave it to the experts, do what we tell you. But I had listened to the experts before, and they had gotten it wrong before, and they had missed things before, and basically they had been wrong before, and I thought they were wrong here now too. And I basically said, I'm not taking any other drug, only Lemtrada. They have a duty of care on patients. Remember that always, and remember that refusal is such a powerful thing. If you refuse something, just say no. You have to be strong to say no. And it causes problems because you suffer the consequences if you say no. It's a conflict immediately there, right there, so you have to overcome that and be strong and be polite and know your shit, basically, like, to get through it. And I got the Lemtrada after a few months by, what was it called, because it was still in trial, I wasn't allowed to have it, but they gave it to me on compassionate grounds. And it was amazing. A really good drug. I remember my wife always says, I came into the hospital using a walking stick in each hand. My gait was so bad. Slowly making my way along. And 5 days later, I came out of hospital with no walking sticks. I was walking normally again. Had an immediate positive response. Now, I should say that year that I was doing that research living in the countryside, I was also looking after myself very much as best I could. And I was taking loads of vitamins and minerals and supplement things like this. So while I physically couldn't move, I guess you could say internally I was getting the things that my body needed. So, and my point here is that when I got the drug, when I got the Lemtrada, my body was in good shape. I wasn't coming in there having been eating junk food for the last whatever amount of time, not looking after myself. I was trying to look after myself as best as I could. I was still smoking, I was still drinking alcohol. That period I still was, but I quit soon after. And then the Lemtrada wasn't so effective after about 6 months or a year maybe, and my symptoms were returning, and it was decided that because I did have a good response to it, just not as much as they hoped for, they gave me a second round of Lemtrada. So I had, if you get Lemtrada, you probably get it a round of Lemtrada, which is 2 sessions, two rounds. First time is 5 days infusions, then 1 year later you go in for 3 days infusions, I think, yeah. And then you're done, and there's nothing ongoing. That's it. That's the treatment finished. Hopefully, you don't need any more MS drugs. But I need to have that done twice. So that's the last time I've had an MS drug. Was more than 10 years ago, my second round of Lemtrada. So I've gone from paralyzed, to now I can walk. I walk to the shops every day. I go for walks. It's not a problem for me. You would not know. The only way, here's how you might know. If you were some kind of a detective or something, and you were watching for suspicious activity on the street, you might identify me as being a little bit out of the norm, because while I walk a lot, I walk slow, very slow. Slow to the point that I get overtaken on the sidewalk by other pedestrians and by old people with walkers. And that's my pace now. Everything is very slow. The only symptom that I would suffer is fatigue. that's an ongoing, and I manage that by regular sleep hours, exceptionally regular. My body knows when it's time for bed, and I look at the clock and I go, yes, that's my bedtime, good night. And I will wake up in the AM just before the birds start singing. I'm there for it, and I'm out of bed, fully rested, in my sync pattern with my body clock, the way nature intended it to be. No alarms at that part of my day. I don't use alarms for waking up. I just make sure I go to bed early. It's simple. I don't watch TV series. I'm not into any of that sports or religion or any of those kind of things that people do. I don't do any of those things. I never did. And I'm very happy. I'm very happy. What can I say about my MS now? I am prescribed a drug to manage my MS. Lemtrada, like I say, I have this fatigue thing going on. And I'm apparently, so says my pharmacist, first person with this prescription in Ireland, which is for cannabis, to smoke cannabis, aka Mr. Bob Marley style, you know what I'm saying, man? Yeah, the original way. It's the best way, I believe, to use the drug for my condition. It's straight to the lungs, which then distributes it straight to the brain and the blood, and boom. And the effects of it pass very quickly. I don't get high anymore. I smoke from when I wake up to when I go to bed, right through the day. And this is as stoned as you'll see me. And it works, yeah. Now, if I was treating some other illness, like aka cancer, I would then be eating it by whatever method, oils, because it's a different method of action when you take it to your digestive system versus when you take it to your lungs. It's just different results and effects. I get too high anyway eating it. It's too much of a long-lasting high. I smoke so much. I'm prescribed by my neurologist now. I'm prescribed 5 grams a day. Yeah, whatever that works out at a month. Couple of ounces a month. 5 ounces a month. Yeah, about 5 ounces a month, I think. And that just makes me normal. It's like I don't get high. It's just my normal, my regular, my level. And what else can I say about my MS? It was hard, so hard going through it. I put all those memories far away. And they were heavy days, but I'm still here, right? I mean, I'm here talking to you now. And all I can say is don't ever let it get you down real bad. Go find some comedy on YouTube if you feel real bad. Something, anything. I'm proof that it can be overcome. A few people asked me how I did it way back, like going back to when I originally went on Lemtrada. How did you get this drug? And I told them, and I said, you've got to be real strong. You've got to stand up to your neurologists, consultants, doctors. Tell them that you don't want to go the way that they want you to go, and you want to go a different way instead, and you're not going to go any other way, only that way. But they didn't like that, so they don't really talk to me much anymore. People can be like that, and that's okay. That's the way of the world. So, yeah, it worked for me. Something will work for not everybody needs the hard hitting drug that I needed. Mine was so very bad. I wonder, has anybody since been diagnosed with such a high lesion load? Maybe, I don't know. They're catching these things earlier, certainly. They couldn't believe that there was more than 40 there and I was walking. They couldn't believe it with sticks, but I was managing. And yeah, so that is it. Caffeine too is a big part to play in all of this. I drink about 8 coffees a day, again from morning to night. It does not affect my sleep. I probably wouldn't sleep if I didn't have my coffee before bed, more like that. So yeah, the cannabis doesn't make me high, the caffeine doesn't keep me awake. It keeps me awake through the day. Now, this is managing my fatigue, you see. Cannabis keeps me awake too. If I didn't smoke that, I would be asleep probably. We're all different. Everybody has a unique story to tell. And that's about as much of mine as I think I can remember that I should say and tell you about. Yeah, okay. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Stay strong. You can do it. You can be lonely. I don't really see people anymore. That's okay. That's how people are. I read a book when I was a teenager that I recommend, I Leave You, which made me very strong and set me up for this situation that I'm in now with MS and all that. And that book was by, you'll find a free audiobook or something. Friedrich Nietzsche Thus Spake Zarathustra. And with that, thank you guys for watching, and maybe we'll have another video again soon. Bye.